How do you make motor racing more exciting? You throw some rain into the mix. How do you make it even more exciting still? You have it coming and going at random over the course of the day. Welcome to TCR Europe, welcome to the Hockenheim ring, and welcome to race number 2, round number 3 of what has been an incredible 2025 season. If you were with us yesterday, you would have seen a fabulous race. Well, we enjoyed it, and we're going to go one better this time, I think. The weather is inclement at best. I think it's fair to say it's been declared a wet race. It's dry at this moment in time, but the rain was falling but moments ago. And this is really going to mix things up for what is a 25-minute plus 1 lap reverse grid motor race. Felipe Fernandez is the man on pole position. Had a good day yesterday, did Felipe. Started in 10th, finished in 8th position. He'll be hoping to convert yet another pole in TCR Europe into some kind of podium success. Jimmy Clary in the number 21, Clary Sport Audi, starts in 2nd position. We see him on screen. He's going to be a driver to watch out for. Apparently, slick tyres on the grid, so that could be interesting for some of our drivers. And I, for one, am very much looking forward to this. Of our top 10 drivers, Felipe Fernandez, Victor Anderson, Jung Park are all on slicks. All of the drivers have slick fronts and wet rear tyres. This could be absolutely crucial coming into this race because, of course, we all know if you take a little gamble in the wet conditions, sometimes it can pay off. Sometimes, maybe not quite so much. And with the weather here in Hockenheim being disturbed, shall we say, at the very best. Wet, dry, wet, dry. I think it's fair to say, myself included, absolutely nobody knows what the conditions are going to be as we go motor racing. The aim of the game will be survival as always. But let's take a look then at the starting grid. And as mentioned, it is Felipe Fernandez on pole position, Jimmy Clary, alongside him, a Honda and an Audi respectively. Then Ruben Volt starts in 3rd, Victor Anderson for company, 4th position. Victor will be looking for a much better race 2 than what was a difficult race 1 for the Swedish driver. Nicholas Taylor starts in 5th. He's got Eric Genet for company. Nicholas, he'll be looking to convert his Q2 to a much better result in this race. Yun Park is 7th, and Max Hart joins him. Are in 8th position in the Hyundai Elantra NTCR. Nico Baldan and Marco Butti make an all-Italian row 5 in 9th and 10th positions respectively. In 11th place, Felice Jelmini has the returning Mikael Karlsson for company in 12th position. Mikael having a great return to TCR Europe, looking for big things. Julian Brichet and Jensen Brickley are 13th and 14th respectively. Julian and Jensen will both be looking to move forward, I am sure. Filippo Barberi and Santiago Concepcion are 15th and 16th on the grid. Santiago not having the best weekend. We'll be looking for more from this race. Jung Park is 17th. Victor Fernandez is alongside in 18th position. And then in 19th, Teddy Clary and Pierre Arnaud Navarro in 20th position. Teddy, not the weekend he was looking for. He'll be hoping for a big charge through the field. And Jean-Laurent Navarro rounds out our 21 cars that will be taking part in this race. So, some homework for you all good people. Keep an eye on the back of the field. There are several good drivers that are going to be expecting bigger things, shall we say, that will be looking to charge through the pack as this race unfolds. And for you and I, that means I feel we're going to have a really entertaining motor race here. 25 minutes, as I mentioned, plus 1 lap. Very exciting times ahead. Quick one as well, outside of the top 10. I'm just hearing from down on the grid, Julian Brichet, Santiago Concepcion, Filippo Barberi are all on slick tyres. The rest of the field are full rear wets. This could be vital for the progress of the race. Right then, formation lap. And Felipe Fernandez takes hers away from the grid. Felipe, of course, started race 1 in pole position at Spa-Francorchamps last time out. Could it convert that into the win? Can he do it from the first grid pole? That's going to be a very big question indeed, and one that we're very much looking forward to. Felipe Fernandez has been on good form this season, it has to be said. Very much an improved driver over previous years. And Felice Jelmini, having missed Spa-Francorchamps and having finished in 7th position in race number 1, Felice has an opportunity to move forward. 11th on the grid for this one, just like he was in race 1. But again, mixed weather conditions always present a challenge for our drivers. Formation lap is underway then on this 4.574 kilometre or 2.842 mile circuit, depending on your preference. 16 corners, 4.4 metres of elevation. And quite frankly, track that is just perfect for touring car racing. It was a good race yesterday. Versus touring cars, reverse grid races are always better. And with a bit of the weather as well in good measure, it's going to be a fascinating dice all the way through this field. See the windscreen wipers briefly on Victor Anderson's MAGP Lincoln Co machine. Strange, there's some heavy clouds overhead. I can see some rain off into the distance from my commentary box, which has the potential to make its way over the racetrack before we see the checkered flag. So even if things are temporarily at least a little bit drier for now, I suspect that may change before we say goodbye to you all for the weekend. It's going to be very, very nervous times indeed for these drivers in TCR Europe, especially for the likes of Ruben Volt and Jimmy Clary in third and second position respectively. Both of those drivers will be looking for a big result today. Marco Butti is another name to mention, starting down in 10th. He was in pole position for our first race of the day yesterday. Didn't quite have the pace towards the end of the stint. Couldn't quite convert that into a race victory. He was second behind Max Hart. I think Marco Butti will be one to watch. Changes have been made to that car. The weather conditions obviously are wildly different to what we saw earlier in the weekend. So Marco will be one to keep an eye on from 10th position as he tries to charge his way through. Nick Taylor as well. Unfortunate for Nick. He received a post-race penalty. Did Nick Taylor for... Oh no, I apologise. No, he did not at all. It's Teddy Clary that received five-place grid drop for a collision with Nick Taylor. Hence the reason Teddy starting down in 19th position. Out of place for sure, based on pace of driver, team and car, as evidenced by his brother Jimmy up in second place. So Teddy Clary will be hoping he can come into this one, score some big points, not allow that championship lead for his brother to extend any further than is absolutely necessary coming into this one. Uncertainty then, folks. It's our friend in motorsport. I'm very excited. I've got to admit, hope you are too. Watching on the TCR TV YouTube channel. We're only moments away from going racing TCR Europe. This is round number 3, race number 2 of the weekend. Final time. We're here at the Hockenheim ring this season. Before we head over to Misano on the weekend of the 27th of June. That's the future though. All eyes, all attention, focused very firmly on the present. Right then, do not adjust your screens, do not go anywhere. The green flag at the back of the field has been waved. In a few moments' time, TCR Europe here at Hockenheim ring will be go, and the lights are out, and away we go off of the line. Good start for Jimmy Clary, even better one though for Felipe Fernandez. Felice Yelmini at the back of the field gets a monster start in the PMA Motorsports Audi. Scythe his way past a couple of cars for a very, very tentative run down into T1. Everybody through the first corner, but this is where the drama happened last time. Ruben Volt has a marvellous launch for ALM Motorsports, up in the second position. That's a lovely start for the Honda driver as we tippy-toe our way around this Hockenheim ring circuit. The grip out on circuit is virtually zero, and our drivers are mightily keen to avoid any kind of early instant. Felice Yelmini finds his way past Max Hart. A little bit further down in the pack, Yelmini up in a 5th position. Good start for the Italian driver. You can see him hunting out the grip on the racetrack. Volt under pressure from Clary at the head of the pack. Has the line covered though into the hairpin. This was a pinch point in race number 1. Will it be the same again on the opening lap? Victor Anderson off of the traditional racing line, looking for a little bit of grip in that MAGP Lincoln Co. Can't find it on this occasion as everybody looks, yes, successfully to have made their way around the opening section of this Hockenheim lap. There's a mistake for Fernandez though, right on cue, just as I say it. Felipe Fernandez gathers the car back together on the racetrack as Park and Anderson almost coming together. That's Junwei Park to the inside, Jung Sung Park around the outside as well off of the racing track. So Jung Sung will be back on again. There we go, very quickly indeed. Nico Baldan, Jensen Brickley and Clary as well, all in that little battle pack trying to pick their way through. It is so tentative on this opening lap of the Hockenheim ring. The first time at racing speeds in these conditions, and nobody wants to be the one to do exactly what you see at the top of your screen. That's the Solite Indigo Racing Machine at Park. Off of the racetrack, he recovers it though, thankfully, and gets back right in to the heart of the fight. Fabulous scenes here at Hockenheim. As again, Eric Genet climbing over the back of everybody. There's Jensen Brickley, his teammate at Monmouth Motorsports, trying to find a way past Teddy Claret for 13th. No opportunity on this occasion as Santiago Concepcion looks to the inside. Concepcion can't quite make it as we cycle back to the front of the field, and already we can see a little bit of a gap forming between our front three drivers. There is Nicholas Taylor in 5th position. His teammate Felice Jelmini, though, he's trying to find a way past, as is Ruben Volt to the inside. Ruben takes over the race lead. Jelmini finds a way past as well. Felipe Fernandez almost surprised there was another car there. Slots back in to 3rd position. 2 places lost in one corner, but look at Felice Jelmini. That is a fantastic launch by the Italian driver. Gets a good run on Ruben Volt. The outside line for Volt will become the inside down into the hairpin. Fernandez looking one way, then the other, keeping a watching brief, but this is advantage to Volt. Can he get the car stopped? Will Jelmini be able to slot back in position? Yes, he does. Goes for the spaceback. Contact between Fernandez and Jelmini. Both drivers get away with that one. Felipe Fernandez trying to show the nose to the inside. Jelmini going for the switchback. Unperturbed, the Italian driver still takes the position anyway. That is fantastic stuff from the number 44 machine. Almost immediately, Ruben Volt tries to find a counter-attack but doesn't have the racing room. Everybody survives, and Ruben Volt becomes our new race leader. Marco Butti, by the way, we see on screen there in 7th position. Make it 6th in a moment as Nick Taylor defending that spot, but Butti having a very good start, just like we saw in race 1. Powerful off the line, but the pace disappeared as the race progressed. Can Marco Butti, though, hold it together all the way through? Finds his way past the Canadian driver and up in a 5th place. Good stuff so far from Marco Butti. And you can see for yourself, can't you? Just look how greasy it is out on the race. Oh, hello. Start procedure under investigation, say race control. Not quite sure what's occurring there. We'll keep our eye on that one. But for now, all attention turns to what's happening out on the racetrack. And it is Felice Jelmini from Ruben Volt, Felipe Fernandez and Jimmy Clary in 4th position. That is Nico Baldan down in 11th place. Nico, early race leader in race number 1. But it's not quite coming together for the Italian driver just yet, as Felipe Fernandez gets very, very up close and personal with a rather aggressive inside curve of T1. Gathers the car together, though, and is not under pressure just yet from Jimmy Claret. But I do feel it is an element of inevitability in that particular fight, as further back, Victor Anderson and Johnson Park go side by side. Park has the inside line, though. Victor Anderson, no right of reply on that occasion. Has to drop down into 10th position. Teddy Claret, look at that shot at the back as well. Teddy Claret absolutely on fire in these opening laps. He's up into 11th, and the next one to nibble at the rear of Anderson's Link & Co. Felice Jelmini and Ruben Volt exploring the racetrack at the front of the field, it has to be said. Okay, maybe stay off the racing line in wet conditions is a good thing, but that's a little bit further than perhaps both drivers would have anticipated. As Anderson just about in contention with Johnson Park, almost side by side from those 2 young chargers, but it is Park who has the advantage for now in 9th position as Jimmy Claret looks to the inside of Marco Butti. Trying to turn in on a curb for the Italian driver is never a good thing in wet conditions. Butti runs wide. Jimmy gets up in a 4th place. Be interesting now to see if the Claret Sport Audi has the pace to close on the back of Felipe Fernandez. 19 minutes to go, plenty of racing action still to be had. I think you'd have to look a long way to find... Oh, look at this! The rain is falling very heavily indeed. This is a big turn-up for the books. We thought the rain would come. How long it stays is anybody's guess as Marco Butti tries to the inside. Has the inside line. Be careful, boys. Lovely contact between the 2 of them. Butti rubbing the rear quarter. And Jimmy Claret's Audi machine. Both drivers using great skills to keep their cars on the racetrack in increasingly wet conditions. But Marco Butti loving this weather to the inside. Gets the job done. Jimmy Claret will be run out of racetrack. There we go. Marco Butti up into 4th place. Absolutely fantastic stuff from both of these drivers. And let's remember, it is Felipe Fernandez, Victor Anderson, Jung-Sung Park are all on slick tyres. Everybody else that started in the top 10 has a rear wet tyre. This is going to be very interesting as the rain falls. You can see the slicks starting to struggle, and now Booty to the inside of Felipe Fernandez. Nothing happened on that occasion, Marco. You've got to be careful. He's in the ascendancy at this moment in time, but you can throw it all away very, very quickly with a little piece of contact. Booty goes for the switchback now, the 111. The MM Motorsports Honda Civic Type R FL5 versus the RC2 Honda Civic FL5 of Felipe Fernandez. That outside line would become the inside for Felipe, but he elects better of it on this occasion. That's a good bit of driving from the Spaniard. No real opportunity to close on Marco Booty. In fact, if anything, it's Jimmy Claire that's going to be the one that needs to keep an eye on Jimmy, the Frenchman, very, very much on the attack as well. Lights ablaze from all of our drivers. The light here, considering it's time now, considering it's 11:45 local time, very, very dark and miserable conditions here at Hockenheim. Oh dear, and there's a shame. Car number 10, that's Victor Anderson. A drive-through penalty. Car tyres not fully fitted at the 5-minute board. That's a real shame for Victor. Up there in 11th place. Not having the best of race. In fact, as we say that one, Nico Beldan is trying to attack the rear of Victor Anderson to take that 11th position away. But Victor, of course, will have to dive down pit lane very, very shortly to serve that drive-through penalty, and that was why the start procedure was under investigation. So the Swedish drivers' misfortune continues in 2025. When will Victor Anderson get the lucky break that he and the team so desperately need at TCR Europe? Real shame, but that opens the door, of course, for Nico Beldan to find a way past and see what the Italian driver can do. As good in the wet conditions as Nico, as sideways goes Junhui Park. Solide Indigo Racing, good catch from the Korean driver. Race 1 winner Max Hart up there in 7th, following Nick Taylor. Max said after the race 1, they went aggressive with their setup and it paid off. Well, I'll tell you something for free. In these conditions, aggression is not necessarily a key to success. It's working quite well for Max Hart so far, 7th position in the race, as there comes the penalised Victor Anderson, just behind Jensen Brickley for Monlau Motorsport. So could this be a pit stop or some other kind of dramas for Jensen? Filippo Barberi as well is in pit lane. Let's have a look what the Monlau mechanics do. And yes, they're going for a quick tyre change here. That'll be interesting. 15.5 minutes. Lose about 2 minutes in pit lane for a tyre change. It's going to be a big ask for Jensen Brickley. But again, when you're running in the lower reaches of the field, sometimes worth taking a gamble in these conditions. As Ruben Volt checks his rear mirrors and sees Italian Marco Booty right behind the back of the ALM Motorsports Honda Civic. Ruben Volt not quite showing the pace at this moment in time. He's dropped 10.5 seconds away from Felice Yelmini. And Ruben struggling for grip in that ALM Motorsports Honda. One, trying to find the racing line, trying to find the grip, of course. In the wet, you don't want to go over the racing line because all the rubber's been laid down and there's even less grip. So you've got to do the karting line, trying to avoid it, cross over as much as possible. Speaking to Detlef Schmidt earlier in this weekend from Audi, he was saying Hockenheim is one of those tracks where it's a very peculiar setup when it comes to rain. Really unusual lines that you have to take to try and hunt out that grip, and both of those drivers are doing so with aplomb, as Felice Yelmini is very grateful for his tyre choice and is running rather comfortably at the head of the pack. Where did Felice start this one? 11th position. But again, in wet conditions, sometimes it's worth taking a gamble, and those rear wets are working out very nicely indeed, as that overtaking manoeuvre works out very nicely indeed for Marco Booty. Up in his 2nd position now for the 111, second in our championship standings after his 2nd place in race 1 earlier this weekend, should I say, sorry. And Booty's doing a really good job so far of consolidating what has been a successful weekend up to press. There is Yelmini, our race leader. Windscreen wipers are ablaze. It's coming up to lap Victor Anderson in a few moments' time, but Felice Yelmini, this will be a fabulous result for the Italian driver if he can just hold it through to the line. P2 in 2021 at Paul Ricard was the last best result for the Italian driver. Been a long time coming for Felice Yelmini. Got a lot of racing still to do in the most difficult of circumstances. It ain't over yet for the Italian, but it's looking rather comfortable indeed. An inspired choice from 11th on the grid to fit those rear wet tyres. But you can see just how difficult it is on board that PMA Motorsports Audi. Lots and lots of car control required, and sometimes a little bit of caution as well in these kind of conditions. But Felice doing a great job, 12.9 seconds to the good from Marco Butti, Ruben Volt, Felipe Fernandez in 4th position. Filippo Barberi, by the way, that we're looking at now, 21st and last for the Icoa. The Italian squad, the Icoa racing team, they'll be hoping that he can close that down very quickly indeed. Filippo last time around a 2-minute 14.290. Not representative lap times, of course, having been down pit lane. He'll be hoping for that gap, the cars in front, to reduce rather rapidly in the near future. As Ruben Volt will be hoping the rain gives over and he can start extracting some performance from those tyres. Ruben struggling a little bit at the moment, still doing good work in 3rd position. Dropping back from Butti quite significantly this moment in time. Last time around, Marco Butti was 7/10 quicker than the Estonian driver. It's definitely advantage to Butti at this moment in time. But 11 minutes and 55 seconds still to go, plus 1 lap. Absolutely anything can happen as Victor Anderson leaves the pits. Jean-Laurent Navarro as well. They've been back down pit lane again as Victor for a change of boots, no doubt. See if he can try and recover something from what has been a difficult weekend. They had high hopes coming into this one with the MAGP squad. It's just not quite transferred the way they would have liked to. 12th position in race 1, having started, where was Victor? 4th on the grid for race 2, all the way down in 20th place at this moment in time. Just doesn't seem like the squad has the look in 2025. To be fair, didn't have the look in 2024 either. Things have got to turn. The tide has to turn sooner rather than later, I am sure. You look at Marco Butti, still extending the gap to Ruben Volt, but crucially dropping from Felice Jelmini. Last time around, Felice, remember, has wet tyres, wet Kumos on the rear, slicks on the front. Felice Jelmini, 2-minute 5.659. Marco Butti, 2-minute 7.978. That's the difference a good set of boots can make. And the correct choice has absolutely categorically been made by PMA Motorsports. See Fernandez and Navarro having a little battle further down the Renault. 18th and 19th, it is Pierre Arnaud. Sorry, Jean-Laurent, should I say, holds the advantage from Victor at this moment in time. Hopefully they've seen our race leader coming, Felice Jelmini. These are tentative times as a race leader. We don't see this in touring cars very often, lapping. This is more a GT thing. But Felice Jelmini will be hoping quite desperately that both of those drivers have recognised the threat from behind. Keep our eye on this one as the 44 flashing the lights just to let Victor Fernandez know there's a quicker car coming. Victor, of course, will be very much aware, I'm sure, will be informed by the RC2 team. And there we go, right on cue, pulls well over to the side. Good stuff from Victor Fernandez. Gentlemanly driving there as Jelmini crapping into the braking zone of the hairpin. Absolutely fantastic stuff, but Felice having a perfect performance at this moment in time. Sides his way through the traffic, no harm, no foul. That gap now has extended up to 17.7 seconds from Marco Butti. And we're getting into the territory of probably the largest winningest margin TCR Europe history, it seems, at this moment in time for Felice Jelmini. He's doing a sterling job with those wet Kumo tyres on the rear. In fact, goes around the outside, a little bit risky. Cuts it back though. Doesn't quite make his way past Navarro just yet. Let's cycle back though. This is Junsung Park, Eric Genet and Teddy Clary. Where are we fighting for here? 8th, 9th and 10th position. So far, Junsung doing a good job for the Solite Indigo Racing team. Up there in 8th. Eric Genet being a little bit under the radar, I think it's fair to say, over the course of this weekend. Not quite as fast as perhaps the confidence suggested it would be coming into the weekend, but Eric, solid haul of points in 9th position as things stand. 10 points to his name if he can see it through to the flag, but Junsung very much in the sliding posture at this moment in time. Nicholas Taylor is just ahead. Nick not quite able to extend the gap over this chasing quartet of cars, and I dare say he is going to be very much under pressure in that battle for 7th position in the not too distant future. Taylor, Canadian driver, made it through into Q2 for the first time this season. Yesterday didn't quite work out so well for his race prospects. He's turning that one in. It's not quite the charge through the field that we've come to expect in 2025 from the Canadian driver. But Nick Taylor doing a solid job in immensely difficult conditions to be holding on to that 7th position. Teddy Clary in the back of the shot, not quite able to launch an attack yet, carrying 40 kilos of ballast as well on that car, so a little bit of weight on the Audi not helping matters. Of course, in wet conditions a bit of weight is slightly less damaging than it would be in dry. And look at this shot. That's not a bit of rain, folks, that's a lot of rain. I'm English and even I say that's not quite barbecue weather. That is absolutely throwing it down on the back part of the racetrack, and this is going to be fascinating. Now again, drivers with wet tyres on the rear will be reaping the rewards from these conditions, and it's pretty much sodden all the way through the racetrack. We had it at the back end of the track at the start of this race. Now coming down into the first corner, you can see it falling very, very heavily indeed. This is music to Felice Yelmini's ears. 22 seconds, everybody, is the advantage for Felice now. Those rear Kumo wets working wonders on board the PMA Motorsports number 44 machine. And Felice, with great aplomb, is taking all of the advantage he possibly can from that one. Nico Baldan, by the way, has gone down pit lane. You can see him out of his commentary box window, perhaps going for a fresh set of tyres. No, he's pulling into the boxes, Nico, so unfortunate for the Italian driver. Oh, in fact, he's not pulling into the box. They are going for a full change of tyres on that car, so Nico Baldan. It's a little bit late in the day, I fear, at this stage. But from 14th position, it's worth rolling the dice, thinks the Italian. And the Italian team, keep our eye on that one. Baldan obviously dropping down the running order. Mikael Karlsson takes over that 15th spot. Mikael himself, having been down pit lane not so long ago. Could be an opportunity for Mikael to maybe light a fire under his weekend. He's here, he normally races GT4s, but he's back in TCR Europe and doing a really good job as well at Motorsports. But just look at this one. This is not slightly wet, folks. This is, I wish I'd brought an umbrella to get back to the paddock wet here at Hockenheim Ring. And there, unfortunately, is the inevitable. Ruben Volt has made some kind of off-track excursion. Oh, Clary's off as well. Teddy Clary. Jimmy Clary even. My apologies, Jimmy. Off from 5th position, so the bad weather catching everybody out. Ruben Volt trying to find the escape road and doing a good job in doing so. Doesn't want to get that car stranded in the gravel. Nick Taylor to the inside of park. While all that one's happening, Taylor up another place as well. This bad weather, we suspected it would cause a problem, and a problem it is most certainly causing. There is Julian Brichet in the mix as well in the JSB, the blue JSB Hyundai Elantra N TCR. Teddy Clary, Carfo, Felipe Fernandez and Nick Taylor heavy into the wall, part recovering as well. So this rain has now gone to the extreme level. There is Santiago Concepcion off on the drag strip, absolutely no grip. We saw that yesterday as well. Concepcion though does well to keep the car out of the barrier. This is big drama. This is big drama. Some front runners off the track. Junsung Park and Teddy Clary. Let's have a look then. This is what happened to Teddy. That's the strip. That's where, look at that one. It's almost like a drift track, isn't it? Park, you can see just recovering. Clary does a good job. A very good job, actually, the French driver. Not to clear the back, and there's Marco Butti as well. Butti from 2nd position, almost into the tyres. The Italian gets the car back on the racetrack. Jensen Brickley and Park are in strife as well. Synchronised swimming from pretty much everyone. And around the outside, goes Mikael Karlsson. Hopefully avoid contact. Not quite. Brickley, a little bit of a contact to the rear quarter, but Mikael, having been down pit lane a few moments ago, I can only assume there's been a change of tyres on Mikael Karlsson's car, and unfortunately the safety car has been called, which will bring a halt to the charge of the ALM Motorsports driver. But in conditions like this one, of course, it's only the sensible thing to do to call the safety car. Several drivers in strife. And let's take a look at what happened to Nick Taylor. Ooh, that's big contact into the wall. Fortunately, didn't collect the stranded car of Felipe Fernandez, but still for Nick Taylor, that's a real shame. The Canadian into the wall and looks like retirement. Oh, Pierre Arnaud Navarro as well. Hopefully he can extract that one. I don't think he can. I think that Hyundai is stranded. Gentle, gentle, gentle on the throttle. Well, well, well. Felice Jelmini's advantage was a lot, quite frankly. 40-something seconds. It's now going to be nothing from Marco Butti under safety car conditions. Let's collectively hope that we can get back under green flag once again. To a look at Julien Brichet, our most winningest driver in TCR Europe. Julien Brichet with 6 victories to his name. He's doing a great job up there in 5th. Early decision to jump down pit lane before the start, to get some boots on that car, and it's paying off very, very nicely indeed for the French driver. Although I do fear the number of cars off the racetrack. Pierre Arnaud gets the car back up and running again. We may struggle to get back under green flag conditions. Let's hope, because I don't know about you folks, but I'd like this to be another half an hour long. Would be quite nice, wouldn't it? This is really, really good stuff. A bit of rain always makes for a spicy time. And this is fabulous stuff. In fact, I am just hearing from pit lane, actually, Felice Jelmini. I thought he was on rear wets. He's on full wet tyres, is the Italian driver, and that's why he's seemingly dancing on the water. Full wet tyres for Felice Jelmini from 11th on the grid to almost lapping the entire field, pretty much. Obviously, I say that in jest, but he'll be a little bit frustrated by the safety car. Confident, of course, because of those full wet tyres, should we get racing again. Have a quick look out of my commentary box window to see if I can see any more stranded cars on the racetrack. I don't quite have the view to be able to decipher what's happening down there. And there is a very, very upset Nicholas Taylor. It's a real, real shame for the 2024 TCR Italy champion. But let's remember, Nick Taylor, speaking to his dad Brian yesterday during our autograph session, he had 2 years of karting. Went to TCR Italy in 24, won the championship. Came to TCR Europe in 2025 in his second year in cars, and is absolutely categorically one of the top drivers in the field. You've got to have a lot of respect for Nick Taylor. He's shown phenomenal pace, phenomenal composure in such a short career. And to boot, is a really, really nice guy. Very composed, very professional. Lovely family, actually, the whole Taylor crew. So it's a real shame to see Nick so early into retirement. But these are the lessons you learn. And just like his father was saying yesterday to me, it's difficult to remember he's just so young because he's been successful. The expectation raises on what he can achieve. And sometimes I think we don't quite give him the slack he deserves, that this is one of the few times he's driven a touring car in wet conditions, to be perfectly frank. And these kind of mistakes will still creep in. These kind of issues will still creep in, despite the obvious phenomenal talent behind the wheel. So a learning experience for Nick. He'd prefer to have learnt from the podium, I'm sure. But these things happen. As you can see, the safety cars and snatch vehicles on track. So we definitely won't be going back under green flag conditions, I don't think, here at Hockenheim Ring, which is a real shame. Sometimes the rain giveth, sometimes the rain taketh away. And on this occasion, I think it has taken away what could have been a rather exciting end as we get the final lap under safety car conditions for our TCR Europe field. And while we are circulating on this final lap, it would be a good idea for me to remind you all watching this broadcast, if you enjoy TCR Europe on TCR TV on YouTube, at the end of every race weekend, midweek next week, we'll be releasing episode number 3 of our TCR Unbox resume programme, where we give you a bit of insight into the world of TCR Europe. So do check it out. We've already got our Portimao and Spa-Francorchamps edition up and live on TCR TV. Hockenheim Ring will be coming soon, so keep your eye on that one. It's a great way to have a look a little bit behind the scenes of what happens in TCR Europe, as well as catch up on all the racing action. Right then, I'll be honest with you, even in these conditions behind a safety car, it's probably not the easiest thing to navigate these touring cars around. Maybe somebody drops it, maybe they don't. We'll keep our eye on it, but it is Felice Jelmini on those full wet tyres that is our race leader and will take the inevitable race win. Marco Butti, to be fair, I think he'll be rather satisfied with second position. Having seen him off the racetrack not so long ago, he'll be grateful with the 111 to finish in that second place. And Max Hart, frankly, I haven't seen anything of Max in this race. The Irish driver doing another superb performance, complementing the victory from race 1. It's looking very much like the target competition car will come in third place in this race, which is mighty impressive. And as far as the Diamond Trophy goes, Mikel Carlsen leads that classification down there in 11th. Jean-Laurent Navarro in 14th place is second in Diamond. Victor Fernandez, 15th overall, is third. And for our Youth Trophy, another victory. It will be another victory when they cross the line for Marco Butti. They're each in a second. And Santiago Concepcion, third. Who's been the biggest winners over the course of this one? Teddy Clary, 12 places gained. Massively impressive for the French driver, and a real rabbit out of the hat as well, because of course came into this one championship leader. Had a disaster in race 1. Started all the way down in 19th for race 2 and has recovered 12 places in difficult conditions. That is very much what the doctor ordered for the French squad. Brother Jimmy up there in 4th, maybe a bit disappointed to have lost a couple of spots. But again, as a race car driver, on a track like this, in a touring car, in this kind of weather, anything you can do to get to the flag must be considered successful. It is far simpler to make a fool of yourself under these conditions than it is to be a hero. And again, championships aren't made by hero moves. They're made by solid, consistent point-scoring finishers. And dare say the Claret Sports squad will be content with 4th and 7th, considering the strife they've had to go through over the course of this weekend. Some other big movers and shakers and winners and losers. Obviously, Ruben Volt is back out on the racetrack, so Ruben's done a good job to recover that car to 12th position. That'll pay out just 5 points, but it is far better to have 5 points than to be walking back to the paddock in the rain. But Ruben can consider himself relatively fortunate, I think, that he got that recovery in the bag before the safety car was pulled. Well, I said it was going to be a good race, didn't I? I apologise that it's not quite as long of a race as we'd have hoped for. I, for one, would have loved it to have gone all the way to the flag on a green flag conditions, but it doesn't. And here we go. Felice Yelmini, under safety car conditions, having made the perfect tyre choice strategy, takes a fabulous victory at the Hockenheim ring for PMA Motorsports. Incredible performance from the Italian driver. Across the line, in second place goes Max Hart. Jimmy Clary up there in 3rd. Then Eric Genet and Teddy Clary in 6th position. Marco Butti seems to be dropping down the running order. Not quite sure why that is. Has he stopped on circuit? What's quite going on with Marco Butti, I don't know, but he's falling down the timing tower quite significantly. End of the day, though, one thing is for sure. It is Felice Yelmini with a commanding victory if things would have stayed as they were. And he'll be absolutely delighted with that one. Can't wait to speak to the Italian driver. Come the checkered flag. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff here at the Hockenheim ring. Ironically, the cool-down lap is being run at a higher pace than the last few racing laps. The safety car pulls and the drivers will make their way back around to the paddock for the podium celebrations. We'll get the final provisional classification and standings in the not-too-distant future. But just look at that rainfall. Here we go then. Provisional race results is Felice Yelmini from Max Hart and Jimmy Clary on our provisional podium. Julian Brichet gambled on tyres, finished in 4th. Very nicely done. Eric Genet in 5th. Teddy Clary up there in 6th. Johnson Park finishes a provisional 7th. And Santiago Concepcion crosses the line in 8th position for the RC2 Honda squad. Heading down the order into 9th, it comes Jensen Brickley from Online Motorsports with Mikel Carlsen of ALM Motorsports in 10th. Ruben Volt classified in 11th from Nico Baldan. Marco Butti classified in 13th position. Jean-Laurent Navarro 14th. And Victor Fernandez is a lap down in 15th place. 16th position goes the way of Victor Anderson from Filippo Barberi, and Pierre Arnaud Navarro is 18th. Classified as a did not finish goes the way of Felipe Fernandez, Nicholas Taylor and Junwee Park, 19th, 20th and 21st positions respectively. 3 DNFs in this condition, and that leaves our provisional Drivers' Championship with Jimmy Clary, a 24-point advantage over brother Teddy in 2nd. Eric Genet, adding to his point score, drops to 3rd, but only 29 adrift of our championship leader. Marco Butti came into this race 2nd, is now 4th, 36 adrift. And then Max Hart, a sensational weekend for Max, bumps him into 5th in the overall standings, just ahead of Nico Baldan, Johnson Park and Jensen Brickley. 36 points covering our top 4 drivers.
As we're seeing this weekend, it all can change in a minute. And there is Detlef Schmidt, cheering. He's a great guy, Detlef. Very, very cheerful. We speak to him in our Unbox programme coming up this week, actually. Keep your eye out for that one. Another win for Audi on home soil. And Felice Jelmini is the man that takes it. A very happy Felice Jelmini, it has to be said. Goes over to celebrate with his PMA Motorsport team. Bravo, Felice, they're saying. Bravo, indeed. Fabulous, fabulous performance from the Italian driver. Team and squad made the decision to go for the full wets. And goodness me, that decision was categorically the correct choice, especially when the rain started to fall during the middle of that race. Max Hart
will be positively euphoric, I am sure, as well. Race 1 winner, second position in race 2, and that is a significant haul of points coming the way of Max Hart, and that will help kickstart his and Target Competitions championship charge as well, I am absolutely sure. Yes, yes, says the team. Very good. I think I can say a little bit more than very good about that performance. It has to be said. Took a while to get things started for Hart and for Felice Jelmini, it has to be said as well, this season. You know what? Sometimes, if things start slowly, a lot of ills can be cured by race victories. And Felice doesn't look the most delighted man in the whole wide world, despite having won a race. Get the windscreen wipers off, otherwise that car needs to get pushed back. Yes, Felice Jelmini will be still happy, I'm sure, about the performance and the delivery of what has been a very, very, very strong result indeed. A little bit of shade there, away from the sunshine. And we'll have a quick word with him in a few moments' time, I am absolutely sure. In fact, I can see him lined up. So let's have a word then with our race winner, Felice Jelmini.
Yeah, I'm with Felice. 32 races and finally a race winner and inspired strategy. How does it feel?
Yeah, good. I mean, I'm happy mainly for the team. We risked to change the tires on the grid, went from slicks to rain. And then we had a big advantage compared to the others. I only had to manage. They tried to push me out, and the car was completely bent. I think in T3, the first corner, someone completely missed the braking point because of the slicks, probably, but then the car was completely bent. So I only had to manage. Then in the end I was a bit stressed because of the safety car. I had no pace compared to the others on rain tires. But this is how it is. This is racing. Sometimes it's good for us, some other times not. So I'm happy.
Perfect. Congratulations. Well done.
I'm happy. Well, that's an understatement, isn't it? Felice Jelmini, fabulous performance. Let's have a look then at some highlights from the second and final race of the weekend here at the Hockenheim ring in TCR Europe. Felipe Fernandez led the field away with a great start for the RC2 squad, but it would be all change as the race progressed. Tentative times for the TCR Europe field in difficult conditions. Felice Jelmini made a late decision for wet tyres, and that would pay off in significant fashion as the race continued on its merry way. Park off on the early lap running. Wouldn't be the only driver to find the gravel as this one progressed. Ruben Volt was an early runner at the head of the pack. Here we can see him racing very hard indeed with Jelmini, and that was the contact that he spoke about in the end of race summary. That contact, though, would not do anything to his race prospects as Marco Butti and Ruben Volt went side by side through the final corner. Both drivers scrabbling for grip as they look to fight their way around this difficult and treacherous conditions. Teddy Clary, another one of those, using all the racetrack and a little bit more. Yunsung Park coming to a cropper. Nick Taylor, heavy contact with the barriers, finishing under safety car conditions. And Felice Jelmini, lights are flashing, lights ablaze. A big cheer from Audi and Detlef Schmidt. And Felice Jelmini is a race winner in TCR Europe at the Hockenheim ring in the finest style possible. When team, car and driver come together, great things can be achieved, and that's exactly what we saw from the Italian driver and PMA Motorsports. And their reward will be the spraying of the champagne in time-honoured fashion and the winner's trophy for Felice Jelmini in TCR Europe at the Hockenheim ring with a commanding performance. Our drivers will be making their way up. Mikael Karlsson will join them for the second time this weekend as well as winner of the Diamond Trophy. Mikael coming back in at TCR Europe after a couple of years hiatus and taking 2 Diamond Trophy victories for good measure. That's been a strong return to the championship for Mikael Karlsson. and hopefully not the last time we see him in action. Good guy, of course. Did well over in Scandinavia to win the championship last season, racing in GT4 machinery, predominantly this season. So it's been a little bit of a baptism of fire, it has to be said, for Mikael Karlsson. Very little running, or zero running, some might say, in the car ahead of this weekend. And then pretty much every weather condition you could wish to imagine has befell this circuit over the course of the last few days. But Mikael Karlsson's done a great job to take 10th place overall, first in the Diamond Trophy. Case of what could have been. If we hadn't have gone under safety car condition, Karlsson may well have been one of our drivers that we were talking about as an overall podium finisher, courtesy of the change of boots. But sadly for him, and sadly for us, I think it's fair to say, we had to end under safety car conditions, courtesy of several drivers off into the gravel. And that kind of put pay to a number of stories that could have been somewhat spectacular. Quick reminder, by the way, while I've got you before we go to the podium celebrations, Mazzano is next up for TCR Europe. We're going to be there on the weekend of the 27th of June, so make sure you don't miss that one. Not too long. I dare say Mazzano might be a bit better weather than we get in here in Germany, but time will tell. Great little track. Be wonderful to see what our TCR Europe stars can do at that particular venue. And of course, it is all live on the TCR TV YouTube channel. So make sure you don't miss that one, and make sure you don't miss the upcoming episode of TCR Europe Unboxed, which should be with you towards the end of the coming week as we look back on all of the trials and tribulations, shall we say, of a wonderful, wonderful weekend of racing for TCR Europe here at the Hockenheim. I am hearing, by the way, to feed back in to what happened to Marco Butti, because he plummeted down the running order. I'm just hearing he actually went off under safety car conditions on the final lap from second position. I did suggest that is possible, with no expectation it would actually happen, but Marco Butti did go off the track, hence the reason he's 13th and not second. We didn't see it on our screens, but that is not great for Marco Butti. It has to be said, he'll be rather displeased about that one. I am absolutely sure, the Italian driver, and it's a real shame. He was looking towards taking the Youth Trophy victory. That they eventually went the way of Eric Genet, so he'll be joining the podium as well. Eric finishing 5th overall. But we'll take the victory in the youth category for our young drivers. Not ideal for Marco Butti. Feast or famine for Marco Butti, isn't it? Really good racers, or really bad ones, it seems, in 2025. I'm sure team and driver will pick themselves up and come back even stronger on home soil and Mazzano very soon indeed. You can see the rain is falling heavily now. Not a great time for fans at the Hockenheim Ring circuit. Make it spicy though for the next races coming up, won't it? I shall look forward to watching those myself. But yes, very wet conditions, and I think we've managed to avoid the worst of it during this race, which is a bit of a relief. Right then, I think we are close. Out of your shot, but through my window, I can see some drivers lined up. And here we go. In third position, it is Jimmy Claret. Very happy looking Jimmy as well, it has to be said, and no doubt, I don't blame him. It's very dangerous conditions out there. Max Hart, up in a second place. Another podium for Max, following on from his victory in race 1. Our man of the hour, man of the moment, master of the weather, Felice Jelmini, our race winner. PMA Motorsports take their stop at the top star of the podium, and now the national anthem. Italian national anthem then for Felice Jelmini, our race winner for PMA Motorsports here at the Hockenheim Ring. Gabriel Alonso is the first to award a trophy, and is for third place man Jimmy Claret. Gabriel Alonso of TCR Europe. Second place trophy will make its merry way out in a few moments' time. And Max Hart will be... it's growing, the collection, isn't it? It's Yuri Fernandez of TCR Europe who awards second position to Max. Another trophy for the collection. But he's got a few of those back at home as Max Hart. I'll be delighted with that one as well. Gabriel Alonso once again awarding winner's trophy to Felice Jelmini. Trust me, folks, that will mean the world to Felice. He'll be delighted with this performance. Jordi Fernandez once again, a trophy for PMA Motorsports to award their success with their driver Felice and the race win. And then Eric Genet will be appearing. There we go. Finished 5th overall, but winner of the youth category. Takes his place on the podium. Gabriel Alonso of TCR Europe, the man that will be giving out the trophy to Eric. He'll be satisfied with that one, but I dare say the Spaniard would perhaps have wanted to have been on the podium proper for this one. And then Mikael Carlsen, once again, this inevitable style of Mikael. I do like Mikael Carlsen, I must admit. Takes his Diamond Trophy victory as well. 2 trophies from the weekend, a good result for Mikael. He always looks and mixes really happy and really unhappy. Great character. Lovely to have you back in the paddock as we go for the family photo. And then we can spray the champagne to celebrate what has been a very, very entertaining race. A very successful weekend here at Hockenheim. Some great racing. I'm sure you can agree that you've enjoyed it just as much as we have. And we'll be back again, let's remember, at Misano on the weekend of the 27th of June. So from myself, Paul Jeffrey, and the team here at TCR Europe, thanks for the time, thanks for watching, and until next time, take care and goodbye.